PSG connection. Debrief in English.
All right, strap yourselves in because we're diving deep into a Champions League matchup that could make or break PSG's season.
PSG versus Atletico Madrid.
You got it. And let's be real, this one's a must-win for PSG.
No doubt about it.
Their Champions League dreams are hanging by a thread right now. They're way down in 19th with just 4 points, trailing Atletico, who are at 27th, but with 3 points. Before we get into it, though, I just got to say, doing a deep dive into this match while wearing a face mask. It's a new kind of tactical analysis, multitasking at its finest.
Whatever works.
Okay, let's get down to business. What's the deal with Atletico Madrid? What do we absolutely need to know going into this match?
Well, the first thing you got to understand about Atletico is that they're like two completely different teams depending on where they're playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. In La Liga, they're a defensive wall, the absolute best in the league, and they're sitting pretty in third place.
So they're basically unbeatable at home.
Pretty much. But then you see them in the Champions League, and it's like a different team entirely.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Like they totally forget how to defend.
It's crazy, right? They've already let in 8 goals, which is twice as many goals per game compared to their La Liga form. Puts them among the worst defenses in the competition.
Okay, so they're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the pitch.
Precisely. And to make things even more unpredictable, they haven't exactly been road warriors in the Champions League either. Way more draws and losses away from home.
Wow, that's a head-scratcher for sure. So which Atletico will show up at the Parc des Princes? The defensive titans or the leaky sieve?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to add another layer of intrigue, they had this massive influx of talent during the summer transfer window.
Oh yeah, I remember all the headlines. Julian Alvarez, Robin Lenormand. Big names, big expectations.
Huge signings, game changers potentially. But it seems like they're still trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together, like the chemistry's not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's like trying to bake a cake with a brand new oven, you know?
Yeah.
You've got all the ingredients, but it takes time to get the temperature just right. So, how is Simeone dealing with this puzzle? Can they find that chemistry in time to face a team like PSG?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. See, they're missing their 2 starting center backs.
No kidding. Who's out?
Jimenez is suspended and Lenormand is still recovering from that injury.
Ouch, that's a tough break. So who's stepping into those crucial roles?
Well, they're kind of forced to field a makeshift center back pairing with Witsel and, well, a guy everyone calls the Englishman. They're both talented players, no doubt, but they haven't exactly played much together at this level. And let's be honest, PSG, they're experts at finding and exploiting any defensive weakness you can imagine.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good for Atletico. So you're telling me this could be a field day for PSG's attack?
It's a golden opportunity, that's for sure. It makes you wonder if Simeone's going to switch up his usual defensive tactics to cover for this, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. And speaking of potential weaknesses, I got to bring up a player who I think could cause PSG some serious headaches. Samuel Lino. This guy's a left back, but he plays more like a winger.
Oh, he's a handful, all right.
Seriously, he's like Atletico's version of Achraf Hakimi, constantly bombing forward and causing chaos in the final third. And the stats back it up. Top 1% of fullbacks for expected goals and assists. That's nuts. PSG's right-sided defense is going to have their work cut out for them trying to contain him.
And if they focus too much on Lino, it opens up space for Griezmann and Alvarez. It's a real tactical dilemma for PSG. Who do they prioritize?
That's a great point. And speaking of dilemmas, let's talk about the one brewing in PSG's goal. Donnarumma or Safanov. Donnarumma is their usual starter, but he's had a few shaky moments lately, some costly errors. But then you have Safanov, who started against Lansing. He looked incredibly sharp.
It's a tough choice for Luis Enrique. You know, he specifically picked Safanov against Lens to counter their high press and because of his better footwork when playing out from the back. And guess what? Atletico also loves to press high.
So you're thinking Safanov might get the nod again in this match?
It's definitely a possibility. If Luis Enrique wants to build attacks from the back and counter Atletico's press, Safanov might be the better option. But if he wants experience and stability, he might stick with Donnarumma. It's all about reading the opponent and choosing the right tools for the job.
So we've got Atletico's Jekyll and Hyde act, a potentially vulnerable defense, and the lino-shaped problem for PSG. Now, let's switch gears and talk about how PSG can leverage its own strengths in this match. Clear edge when it comes to technical ability. How do they use that against a team like Atletico, especially with their defensive issues?
Well, Atletico loves to defend deep and hit on the counter. Classic Simeone tactic. PSG can't fall into that trap. They got to be patient, move the ball quickly, and wait for the perfect moment to strike.
So it's about being clever, not just relying on individual brilliance.
Absolutely. Think crisp passing, quick movement, exploiting the spaces when Atletico commits fouls, and they got to be ruthless in front of goal when those chances come.
Which, to be fair, has been a bit of a struggle for them this season. They create plenty of chances, but the finishing hasn't always been there. But maybe, just maybe, this Atletico match with their makeshift defense could be the turning point. What's the best way to attack that weakness, you think?
Asensio's movement and ability to find those pockets of space could be huge. He can drag those inexperienced center backs out of position, creating gaps whoever else is leading the attack to exploit.
So surgical precision is what we're looking for.
Exactly. And don't forget about set pieces. Atletico has been a bit shaky when it comes to defending them, especially penalties. They've already given up 3 in the Champions League. PSG needs to take advantage of every free kick and corner they get.
Every opportunity counts. It's a chess match.
You got it. And in this match, there are some key individual battles to watch. In midfield, Vitinha needs to keep Griezmann on lock. That guy's a master at drifting between the lines and causing havoc.
Griezmann, he's like a ghost, always popping up in dangerous spots when you least expect it.
Exactly. And then you've got whoever plays center back for PSG. They'll need to keep a close eye on Lino's overlapping runs, can't let him get those crosses in, and up front, whoever leads the line for PSG, they'll have their hands full with Julian Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez is no joke. So these individual battles will be intense, but let's not forget the overall flow of the game. Atletico's lethal on the counterattack, so PSG's got to be super disciplined in their defensive transitions.
Couldn't agree more. Players like Lino, Griezmann, and Alvarez are lightning fast. They'll punish any defensive slip-up. PSG's midfield and defense need to track back like their lives depend on it and reorganize quickly after they lose possession. A high press could be a good weapon for PSG as well, especially when those inexperienced center backs have the ball.
Yeah, force those errors, win the ball high up the pitch, and create those quick attacks. Smart.
That's the idea. Don't give Atletico any space to breathe, let alone launch a counterattack.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Atletico's unpredictability, their defense, the Leno situation, and how PSG can play to their strength. But before we get into their lineups, I want to highlight something that can be the ultimate deciding factor in this match.
I'm all ears. Hit me with it.
Finishing. It's been PSG's biggest weakness all season. So many chances created, but not enough goals. Against a team as defensively organized as Atletico, they'll need to be absolutely clinical in front of goal. Every shot counts.
Couldn't have said it better myself. They can't afford to waste opportunities in this one.
Yeah, it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. But enough about missed chances. Let's talk about how these teams might actually line up. What are we thinking for Atletico's formation?
Well, with their starting center backs out, Simeone's got some tough decisions to make. We're probably looking at a 4-4-2.
Makes sense.
But knowing Simeone, he could always throw a curveball. He loves those tactical surprises.
He's definitely not afraid to shake things up. So let's break down this potential 4-4-2. We've talked about their makeshift center back pairing. Witsel, who else is likely to be in that back four?
At left back, Ronaldo's a pretty safe bet. Solid defender, rarely makes mistakes. But on the right, I think we might see Molina. He's a bit more attack-minded, loves to get forward.
Which, as we discussed, could leave some space behind him for PSG to exploit, especially with Mbappe's speed.
Yeah, that right side of Atletico's defense could be a real target for PSG.
Okay, so who's holding down the midfield for Atletico?
In the center of the park, it's probably going to be DePaul and Koke. Experienced duo.
Yeah, I know those names.
They're great at controlling the tempo, breaking up attacks, but they're not exactly known for their creativity.
So PSG's midfield with Vitinha, they could have the upper hand when it comes to dictating the play and creating those scoring chances.
Exactly. If PSG can dominate possession, move the ball quickly, they could really overload Atletico's midfield and create those dangerous chances out wide, especially on that right side.
And then, of course, we have Atletico's strike partnership, Griezmann and Alvarez. That's got to be a nightmare for any defense.
Oh, absolutely. Griezmann, he's the creative spark, the playmaker, pulling the strings, unlocking defenses with his vision, his passing, his movement.
And Alvarez.
He's the finisher, always lurking, waiting for that opportunity to pounce. They complement each other perfectly.
It's like they have this telepathic connection on the pitch. Always know where the other one is going to be. PSG center backs are going to have their hands full. Okay, so that gives us a decent idea of how Atletico might line up. Now let's flip the script and talk about PSG's tactical approach. Knowing what we know about Atletico's strengths and weaknesses, What's the game plan for Luis Enrique?
First and foremost, PSG has to control the tempo, dictate the flow of the game. They've got the technical advantage, so they need to use it. Be patient in possession, move the ball quickly, wait for those openings to appear.
So it's about being disciplined and not falling into Atletico's trap. They'll probably sit back, absorb the pressure, hoping to catch PSG on the counter.
Right. PSG needs to play their game. Quick passing, fluid movement, exploiting spaces. Don't force anything. Wait for the right moments, and then strike with precision.
Sounds like a surgeon's approach.
Exactly. And when those chances come, the finishing has to be there. No wasted opportunities.
Which has been their Achilles heel this season. But maybe, just maybe, this match against Atletico's weakened defense could be the turning point. Could be the game where they finally find that clinical edge.
It's possible. But it's not just about the attack. They need to be solid defensively, too.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to containing Atletico's counterattacking threat.
Right. Can't forget about those lightning-fast transitions. How do you see PSG neutralizing that threat?
It all starts with discipline and communication. The fullbacks need to be aware of Atletico's wide players, those dangerous runs in behind. Midfielders need to track back.
How about the defense?
Exactly. Center backs need to be strong, decisive, alert. It's a team effort. Everyone needs to be on the same page, working together to shut down those counters.
So it's about being a united front, not giving Atletico any space to breathe.
Precisely. And if they can do that, control the possession, create quality chances, I think PSG has a very good chance of coming away with the win.
All right, so we've talked a lot about tactics, formations, individual battles. But let's not forget about the other side of the game, the mental side of things. Both these teams are under a ton of pressure.
Oh, the weight of expectation is huge. For PSG, it's about proving themselves in the Champions League, shaking off that history of falling short on the European stage. And for Atletico, it's about bouncing back from their rough start in the competition, showing they can still compete with the best.
So it's almost like a psychological battle as much as a tactical one.
Right.
Whoever can handle the pressure, control their emotions, stay focused for the full 90 minutes, they'll have a massive advantage.
Absolutely. The mental game can be the difference maker in these high-stakes matches.
And let's not forget about the atmosphere. The Parc des Princes, those Parisian fans, they can be a real force for PSG. That noise, that energy, it can be intimidating for any visiting team.
Especially when you're already feeling the pressure of a must-win situation.
So you've got the tactics, the individual battles, the mental game, the atmosphere. It's shaping up to be a truly captivating match.
It's going to be electric. Two contrasting styles, two teams with something to prove, and everything on the line.
But what do you think, listener? Do you believe this could be the turning point for PSG? Or are we going to see the same old story play out again?
Share your thoughts with us.
Hit us up on social media. Let us know your predictions, your hopes, your fears.
We love hearing from you, getting different perspectives.
That's what makes these deep dives so much fun.
It's a conversation.
Exactly. We're all learning together, sharing our ideas, debating, and maybe even changing our minds along the way. So keep that passion for the game alive.
And never stop digging deeper. There's always something new to discover in this beautiful sport.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll be back soon with more tactical breakdowns and explorations of the world's game. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, enjoy the beautiful game.